Hello and welcome to MASKCAST, the official Masked Singer podcast. My name's Nick Johns, I am a TV producer and I am a Masked Singer superfan. And on Saturday night, school was out because we all got to go to the disco.
Welcome to the Masked Singer School Disco.
Owl!
I'm showing off.
Piranha!
Oh, this is a singer.
Eiffel Tower!
Magnifique.
Bubble tea!
Absolutely fabulous.
And air fryer!
So cool.
I love you.
Plus, Jennifer Saunders joins the panel!
Jennifer, welcome.
I'm such a huge fan of this show, and I know that it's madness. I'm prepared for the madness.
Who's that behind the mask?
And sadly, on Saturday night, bubble tea popped as we said goodbye to the brilliant Julia Sawalha.
Take it off. Take it off. Take it
Oh my God, who is it?
Take it off. Take it. It's Julia Sawalha. It's absolutely fabulous actress. Julia Sawalha, everyone.
Darling, what are you doing?
That's amazing.
We caught up with Julia backstage and she told us all about her Masked Singer experience.
What made me do the Masked Singer was my friend said I should sing more this year, so I made a promise to her that I would do that. And then I got asked to do the Masked Singer, and I wanted to do something that would really take me out of my comfort zone. This lived up to that. The panel's guesses were just so hilarious. I couldn't believe they thought I was Hannah Waddingham. I thought Jennifer got pretty close with Bubble, and I think they did fairly well. Yeah.
What are you doing, darling?
I
But you are very good.
Thank you.
I found keeping this a secret, really easy. My mum sort of said, if I guess, will you tell me? And I was like, no. So she left it. My favourite thing about becoming Bubble Tea was that just being able to be really playful and young, and people thinking that I was a young pop star, and I'm a lot older than that. Sum up my experience in 3 words. Tremendous, terrifying fun. Can I describe my experience in 3 emojis? Okay, yeah, I can. First emoji is, yeah. Second emoji is that one that's got tears. And third emoji is happy because I saw Jennifer again. Is there an emoji that does that? Oh no, those ones. Those emojis with little hearts. You do like that over the face.
Who are ya? Who are ya? Who are ya? Who's that behind the mask?
Now here on MASKCAST, it's always great to hear from the people who've been underneath the masks. And this week, I am joined by the all singing, all dancing, all painting and decorating rodent who blew us all away with her trump, trump, trump. Oh, rats! It's Shirley Ballas!
Yay!
Hello, Shirley!
Hi, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you? Shirley, I really, really want to call you Ratty.
Please call me Ratty. I want to be called Ratty.
I will call you Ratty for the duration of our chat.
Okay.
And what I can say, Shirley, is that you obviously had an absolute blast as Rat. What are some of your favourite memories of your time on the show?
Well, I think my utmost memory will always be my mother sitting there convincing me to do it. Because when they first asked me, I was like, no, can't do that. That's way out of my comfort zone. And she said, well, don't say no yet. I said, why, Mother? She said, think of all those people on Strictly that go out of their comfort zone. You should go out of your comfort zone. We all know you can't hold a note. So you do it for your mum. And of course, when my mum says do it for me, that's a different story. So that was like, okay, let's do this. And I have to say, I felt like I was sinking. It was really quite daunting to take on that kind of task. But on the other hand, at the end of it, it was one of the most memorable things I've ever done in my entire life.
take it off. Take off, I've got it, Shirley Ballas.
Shirley? No way.
Strictly Judge Shirley Ballas.
How did we not get Shirley Ballas?
We talk a lot on here about how taking yourself out of your comfort zone can also bring you so much fun. And that is obviously what it felt like you were having on the show.
Once my mum has said, do it for me, I said, well, I need to run it by my son. You know, he's a Broadway star. He played Frankie Valli in Jersey Boys, Charlie Price in Kinky Boots. His wife wrote the song If I Were a Boy for Beyonce. They're singers, you know, what they do. So I called him. I was nervous to tell him, actually, and he looked at me and he was like, are you serious? I said, yes. He said, well, okay, let's take this on together. I'll help you with some notes and things. He picked the first song, Boom, Boom, Boom.
Yes.
Crowd pleaser.
Yeah. Give it up for Rat, everybody. Well done, Rat.
It sounded very good, Shirley.
Do you think so?
I'm going to say that there was so much improvement in your time there. I had you down as a vocalist in week 2.
Did you?
I did.
Oh,
I
my
did.
goodness. well, that's the best compliment, darling. I shall carry that away with me.
Please
Thank
do.
you so much.
Please do. Now, Rat was a brilliant costume, but what I'm also going to say is that Ratty was the most phenomenal character. Did you work hard on creating that character?
Well, first of all, they showed me all these costumes because they're magnificent, what the Masked Singer does. But I wanted a rat costume because years ago, an acquaintance in my industry who doesn't like me much, she gave me a book that said, you are the year of the rat. And she gave it to me for my birthday. And in the past, you know, people have always said that you come from a housing estate. They made fun of me. But anyway, I just thought I didn't want to do all the glitz and glamour because I think people would have guessed. So I went the opposite end of the scale. And I thought I could bring this rat to life where people would actually fall in love with Rat. And also, the rat works hard. They're hard workers, even though they're not what we want in our house, let's say. But they're hard workers, Rat. You know, they're up and down those sewers and they're doing this and doing that. And I thought that's typical of what I do in my everyday life is I'm 1 minute I'm here, then I'm in TV, then I'm back in my own industry, then I'm in USA, and now I'm here. So I just thought the rat was perfect for me. And the less glamorous for me, the better.
I love this, Shirley, because actually what you set out to achieve, you definitely achieved, because Ratty is an absolute fan favourite.
I fell in love with the rat, you know, the costume, the whole creativity with the team of getting him. And then I'd show him to my son and let's put eyelashes on him. Let's sweeten him off. I mean, the eyelashes should have been a cue. You know, the fact that I had little hand movements should have been a cue.
Absolutely.
I mean, cue Rat, you know, afterwards I think it makes sense for everybody. But I'm been in glitz and glamour all my life from the age of 7. You know, I've worn eyelashes from 16 in competitions and things. So I just wanted something outside the box. And I didn't want, particularly Jonathan, who I'm friends with, Ollie, Davina, or Mo, I didn't want them to guess me. I think if I came out of that show without them guessing me, I did a good job. And I shall forever remember Jonathan's face when he went, Shirley? Because he knows me, you know, he's interviewed me many times.
I think we saw that face in the series tease, and I think we're going to see it again and again, because it was a reaction that absolutely said, I didn't call it at all.
I want to buy Rat. I'd like to have Rat stuffed and put in the corner of my house as a memory. I've got a skeleton in my house as well from another game show that I did, but I'd love to have Ratty there. I feel like he's part of our family. I like memorabilia. I like, you know, keeping the apple from the first time I did pantomime, and I just keep all sorts of little things, and I think Ratty would be beautiful in my lounge, stuffed.
Ratty would be the ultimate souvenir. What are you going to take forward from Ratty, Shirley? What's Ratty taught you about life?
Well, because people always told me that, you know, you're the lower than the low, you come from a housing estate, you're never going to amount to anything, was one thing. And also, I just think that my Ratty costume just represented everything that I am. All the tools, always working, you know, always moving, always on the go. And And not all rats are mean. I have had a few rats in my garden, you know. But just don't feed them because they won't go away and they'll breed.
It's all suddenly making sense to me, because one thing that we've talked a lot about on MASKCAST is trying to make sense of Ratty's clues. And we've talked a lot about painting and decorating. And I've said constantly, I've never seen Shirley Ballas with a paintbrush in her hand before. But it's metaphorical, right? It's a hard working in all senses of the words.
My friends and everything afterwards said, you know, and have told me in the past when we do karaoke and things, you can't sing, you're no good, sit down. And I think it showed me that with hard work, because I not only took the singing lessons from a beautiful human being, Mark, on the show, I took singing lessons from my own son, and I did twice the work, that you can hold a note, and that's the same on Strictly. You can learn this is a heel, this is a toe, hold your arms up. You can do the basics, you know. I mean, of course, I'm never going to be Whitney Houston or somebody like that, but I can hold a note. I feel confident that if I was to get a little stage show, maybe I could sing a song or two.
Which we'd all like to see. Another thing that really threw us off on MASKCAST was the tartan. Have you got Scottish roots?
I've got no Scottish roots
No Scottish roots.
But I thought if we put a little, you know, bandana on them, they might think it's from Lorraine. I did as many things as I could possibly do to throw them off track.
You know, week one, you know, my guess for Rat was Charlene Spiteri from Texas.
Oh.
I mean, that tells you, Shirley, how good that vocal actually was. Because I felt we were hearing a vocalist there.
I thought Scottish, you've got the Scottish round here, I'm seeing the word garbage, I'm seeing cleaning and laundrette and everything like that. I was thinking Shirley Manson, lead singer of Garbage.
Okay, I like it.
I flew over to the US to do some work with my son. He said, this is not your key. So we sat with his piano and his guitar, and then we called the singing teacher from the Masked Singer, and they collaborated. And that was a lovely experience to have somebody so beautiful, Mark from Masked Singer, who was, you know, because my son said, I don't want to tread on anybody's toes. Would you mind? Because I know my mum, and if she's in a decent key and I can teach her at least to breathe, she'll be okay. At least get through it. Let's put it that way. And that was a beautiful experience to see two people from different worlds come together to just help me. And both of them named Mark, so that was wonderful.
That's lovely. And it's interesting to me, Shirley, that singing and dancing doesn't necessarily go hand in hand, right? I mean, you may not be a trained singer, but you're a world-class dancer. But the two aren't exactly the same as each other.
They're not the same as each other, but what I've learned about myself, that's why now I'd like to explore more singing going on the stage, perhaps, is that there is a rhythm to singing. And that part I didn't have a problem with. You know, so when Mark said to me, you know, you don't come in here, you need to, you know, have this certain singing rhythm, I was able to do that. So my thing was holding the notes. And then I did quite well. I practiced with a box on my head. You know, put a box on and big eyelashes and danced around the house. The hardest part was when that hat went on, you know, his Ratty's head went on. And then that was a different feeling altogether. And they gave you special underwear. Well, I chose just to take off all the underwear except for my pants because I wanted to feel Ratty against my skin.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to have that extra layer of clothing. So I wanted to really embrace the character.
Yeah.
And I did. I couldn't move a lot in him because I was nervous his head was going to fall off. But I just, the minute I put the hat on, I just embraced Rat. He was my friend. I don't have too many friends, but I felt that Rat was really trying to help me. I would have loved to have stayed an extra week, I have to say. I loved it that much. I really was quite sad to go home.
You've got a lot of friends here on MASKCAST, Shirley. We have been so appreciative of your efforts on the show, and your performances have been really, really stand out.
I will be forever a fan of the Masked Singer for sure, and the lovely team that helped me along the way, you know, all the girls, everybody that was there, Liz, and they were just so good to me and so kind and so positive, you know. My son said to me at the end, you know, Mum, it is a show at the end of the day, and I am going to tell you truthfully if you are on or off key. And once I did the performance, he went, not bad. Not bad, Mum.
I'm thrilled to hear this. Shirley, has the experience given you any insight into what it's like for those celebs joining Strictly for the first time?
Well, I teach everybody from my youngest student is 4 years old and my eldest is 96. I teach pro amateurs. I've taught all my life, as you know, from 16 years of age. So I'm very empathetic when they come down the stairs and I praise them for signing up. And I took that with my Ratty experience because I didn't know which way the audience were going to go. I didn't know if they'd say, oh my gosh, he's absolutely dreadful. But the majority part, 99%, were very happy that I took on a challenge from not being able to sing at all to taking on the challenge of singing on The Masked Singer. It was incredible. I shall carry him till the day I die in my heart, old Ratty. I love you, Ratty.
We love you too. We love you too, Ratty. What's better, Shirley, judging or being judged? It's a funny question. I don't think you're really judged on The Masked Singer, are you? I think you're celebrated a bit more.
I think celebrated. I think, all my life I've been judged, and I'm not just talking about dancing. I've been judged on the way I look, on my physical appearance not being good enough, or just certain aspects throughout my life, which I wrote in my autobiography. And I've carried that with me as such a weight. And when I went on The Masked Singer, it wasn't like that feeling of being judged. They were just trying to guess who I was. And it was such a banter. And it was so wonderful. And the host, of course, was just, I don't know, he made me feel just great. He held my hand. He let me just give him a cuddle. And because I'm a cuddle person. And Rat felt very safe in his arms.
And Shirley, any advice for anyone considering taking on the Masked Singer challenge?
Well, I say this all the time, even about Strictly. The life is so short. And life is about experiences. And that's what my mother is constantly reminding me of. She says, go out of your comfort zone. Don't think about being 64 this year. Go out of your comfort zone, try something, and have a lot of fun with it. And I can say that was the most fun experience. And I've demonstrated and danced all over the world. I've never in my entire life had an experience with a rat like that. And feeling quite proud of myself that I actually could hold a note to all my friends who said I was dreadful at karaoke. And my friends were all positive. I didn't have any negative reaction, but I'm afraid my Ratty title is going to stick. And when I walk into a room at the UK and I was going into a meeting, they were in front of me going, Nelly the elephant. And they were all, it sort of charmed everybody. I think everybody absolutely loved it. You have to go for it.
And Shirley, one last thing. What are we all going to do to commemorate Ratty? Shall we all get Ratty tattoos?
I'm going to the United States in about 5 weeks to see my grandson again for the second time. And of course, my son is into tattoos. He's got full arm and back and whatever else he's got tattooed there. So I'm going to have Ratty. In fact, all the big things that I've ever had in my life, I'm going to have Ratty right there, tattooed on my body.
I love this. You heard it here first. Ratty forever remembered.
Ever.
Thank you so much, Ratty. You don't know what a pleasure it's been to spend some time reflecting on your Masked Singer experience.
Thank you so much. I loved every minute of it. Thank you.
Who are ya? Who are ya? Who are ya? Who's that behind the mask?
Now, if you want to get in touch with us with your guesses for those characters that are still left in the show, please grab your phone and send me a voice note on 07999 584 515. If you're on the school run, if you're waiting for a bus, if you're at a supermarket, just get your phone out and send me a little voice note. Or you can post using the hashtag MaskedSingerUK. And don't forget to mention MASKCAST in your message. If you've enjoyed this show, please like and subscribe. And make sure you tell your friends to do the same. I think I'm about to hear the school bell. School's out, Maskcasters.
Who are ya? Who are